Well, here we are in Vermont on a dirt road. No sign saying the road ended. Luckily, it was nice and straight when it did. But I don't know. I don't know how long this is gonna go for. Let's see here. It's 8:46, July 15th. Oh yeah. So sometimes things don't go as planned, and this trip has been a lot of flexibility for a multitude of reasons. But whatever. I'm right. This is beautiful out here. These people have this cool little cottage. The trees are just awesome. I got a new rear tire yesterday, so traction we're gonna be good. I'm glad for that too, because the roads are kind of wet today. That's part of why I got 18,055 miles in that last Dunlop rear tire. Got over 26,000 on the front, and it's nowhere near worn. But I changed it a little bit earlier than I normally would have, knowing that I'm going to come up into some rain. And I run my tires farther, especially the rear, way farther down than I should. But here we are running through. It's like Hansel and Gretel right now. I should be dropping some breadcrumbs, right? This is a state road too, which is just kind of funny. It's like they forgot to pave it. Turn it into a state road. Don't worry about paving it. But yeah, so things don't always, go as planned. And we're cruising along at 30. I think the speed limit's 15. Whatever. Wouldn't be my first speeding ticket on this trip, right? We'll just make do. I think I got 17 miles of this road. We're on State Route 58 East. Hey, Chipmunk. And I don't know, am I going to have 17 miles of this? Thank you, Google. Or is it going to turn back into pavement here shortly? Who knows? But when things change in life, you just roll with them, I had a couple times on this trip where stuff changes, like heading to Niagara Falls the other day, 2 days ago. Yesterday? 2 days ago. Yesterday, 2 days ago. There we go. Heading to Niagara Falls. I come through the border at Canada and get grilled about how many weapons I have on me and what weapons I have on me and do I have any weapons on me. And no. I actually had my knife, a multi-tool, which has a 3-inch or 2.5-inch knife on it, so that's not legal in Canada. And a hammer. I don't know what they would have said about the hammer. It's a ball peen hammer. It's not really a hammer that most people bring camping, but the officer at the border tells me, well, I'm pretty sure you're here for Friday the 13th, and it was indeed Friday the 13th, but I had no clue what he's talking about. Like, yeah, it's a date on the calendar, dude. It's like, no, out near the Niagara Falls. It's in Port Dover, if you're wondering, but out near Niagara Falls, every Friday the 13th, they have a motorcycle rally. And since this Friday the 13th was during the summer, they were expecting, quite a few bikes. And there was easily probably 15,000 bikes there, no problem. It's kind of cool to experience. I've been to a motorcycle rally in Mexico, Rocky Point Rally, done that once. It was kind of cool to experience that. It's not like what we typically think of as a motorcycle rally where, there's as much stuff going on and bands and merchandise and vendors showing their products off and selling stuff. But it was still cool nonetheless. But things change. I went through the border. The dude told me about it. I pulled over at the McDonald's right across the border and used the Wi-Fi. And the next thing you know is I looked at it and it was only like 45, 50 miles out of the way. And I said, awesome, we're going to go to this. I've never been to a rally in Canada. So we went. So we went to Friday the 13th in Port Dover. And like I said, they do that every Friday the 13th. Doesn't matter if it's wintertime, snow. You know, they said they'll have snowmobiles out there and some motorcycles. Canadians are crazy if there's snow. So, you know, it's awesome. But in the end, you know, stuff changes. So you can sit there and complain about it. Or you can, and not always for the better, like my situation, things changed for the better, but you can complain about it, you can do something about it, or you can ignore it, and it just obviously depends on what it is. That depends on what you can do, and then your mindset depends on what you're going to do. You know, I was looking through my Facebook memories either today or yesterday. I think it was today. And a couple years ago, I posted the meme from Johnny Depp dressed as Captain Jack Sparrow, and one of the movie line quotes, which is phenomenal, is, you know, the problem isn't the problem is your attitude about the problem, you know, and when things change or when things get difficult, if you don't maintain a positive mindset and a desire to, that'll realign your spine a little bit there. If you don't maintain a positive mindset and the desire to conquer or overcome or overtake or get through whatever it is that the issue is, that the problem is, then the problem is going to be much bigger than you want it to be or than you think. And that's all on you. What is going on here? Oh, those are all maple syrup lines. We're going through a maple grove. Now, that's pretty cool. I've never seen such a thing in person. I've seen pictures. I've seen documentaries. But those feed maple syrup out of the trees. Cool. Probably goes back to that container that we saw not too long ago. So, Fountain of Youth or something there? I'd turn around, but I don't want to. So, but yeah, so, you know, whenever something changes, you know, maybe it's for the better. Maybe it's disguised as something bad for the better. And if you don't take a step back, slow down, pause, you know, look at what changed. Maybe there's even more that changed you haven't realized yet. Or maybe the change is going to change the things down the road. Then, you know, it's going to seem worse than it is. You know, you could get, you could end up being off way better because of the change, you know. And sometimes we ignore the change. We don't want to deal with it. Yeah, we are going faster than the speed limit because I'm just shaving time off of the arrival time. We're heading up into Maine, by the way. So, but so, you know, when things change, you know, look at everything, because you know it might be for the better. It might make things faster. It might make things harder, but for a shorter amount of time, for whatever that situation is. It might make things 100% better in the end, but 100% worse in the moment. And, you know, a lot of the times our brains don't want to get past the right now. So, you know, in the end, put your nose back to the grindstone and, you know, get it done, make it happen, get through whatever it is, and embrace change, because change isn't bad. Change is actually very good. It's refreshing, you know, and let's talk about that for a little bit right now too. Veteran suicide, depending on which statistic you look at, says that we're doing better now at just over 20 per day. That's still 20, just over 20 too many. Some statistics say that we are doing worse but haven't put a number out. Some statistics say that we're the same at 22 per day. But in the end, a lot of that has to do with the fact that even though the military, all the services put you through courses and classes for over a week, no matter how you get out, even if you get out on a dishonorable discharge, you have to go through these classes in order to exit the military. They're required by law. And these classes are to prepare you, for the civilian life. And that change is the biggest, scariest thing for the majority of veterans. That just initial being thrown back into, and you're not really thrown, but that's how it feels. I even felt that way, knowing I need to expect, this is what's going on. And when you retire, you have to go through a little bit longer course. And then when you're a medical, medical case like I was, because I was processed for medical separation and then took the temporary early retirement authority, or the TARA as the Marine Corps called it, and that's how I retired 20 days shy of 18 years. But the change was still scary, even for me, even in my case of knowing that financially, because I did a lot of things. I sold my new truck, and I still think it's an upgrade, but I got rid of my new truck and went to a paid off 1990 Suburban that had issues, but it cost me less per month to maintain it, drive it, and upgrade it than it did to have a truck payment. And that was a change that I was comfortable with. I had to make that change so that when I exited the Marine Corps, the only payments, the only financial liability I had was my house in North Carolina, which was rented out, my 2 motorcycle payments, which I ended up paying one off by working at Biggs, and still I made changes that most people would never think of. I cut my finances down to next to nothing, knowing that my financial situation was going to dramatically change. I went from making right around bringing home just over $5,000 a month down to bringing home just over $2,200 a month. And there's $1,000 worth of bills, little over $1,000 worth of bills that have to be paid as long as I have a renter in my house. If I don't have a renter in my house, that goes up another $900. So here I am, $1,200. I'm making $2,200 a month, and if there's not a renter in my house, I'm spending $2,100 a month before I even eat and have a place to live on my own. Now, if there wasn't a renter in my house, obviously I could move back into my house, and now all I have to worry about is utilities and all that. Most people, 99% of all people in the military, can't do that when they exit. It's just not, they can't do that. They can't make that change. They have to go back to work. Even the ones retiring. I know 2 people that retired, one way early because of medical reasons. He got cancer while in the Marine Corps, and they were able to get him cancer free, and he was not able to do his job anymore, and they retired him as I think he was a Lance Corporal or a Corporal, and he had 3 or 4 years in. And so between his retirement and his VA disability at 20, I think he's 26 now, he doesn't have to work. And he went to school full time. He got his bachelor's degree, and he has a daughter. He went through a divorce, has a daughter, just proposed to his, now fiance, and he's good. I know another person on the opposite end of that spectrum, 30 years in the Marine Corps, and he retired as a Master Gunnery Sergeant, and he doesn't have to work because his retirement, and then he probably gets some form of some amount of disability as well, because I know he had injuries and stuff like that in his 30 years. But he doesn't have to retire as well. I'm the only person that did right around 20 years that I know of. I'm sure they're out there that I know of that doesn't have to actually work. And 12 more miles of this, I think, folks. And so, but that change was still crazy for me. That was still, one of those things that even though I knew financially I could go to Burger King and flip burgers if I wanted or needed, and I could make my ends meet. I could, it would work. So, it's one of those things. Most people don't have that, and that change still scared me. So I can only imagine what it was like or is like for the vets getting out that don't have a retirement. Gonna have to wait, 3 months to 3 years to get disability if they rate it, and they're got wife and or husband and a couple of kids, and they got to make stuff work now. There's plenty of job opportunities out there. If you went to college while I was in, that helps. Obviously, I got my associate's degree while I was in. There's plenty of opportunity, but not everybody is afforded that opportunity. If you're in the infantry and you're deploying all the time, it's not that you can't go to school, but it's a lot harder. And I waited way, way, way longer than I should have in order to start school. I didn't start school until I had, I think, 12 years in the Marine Corps or so. And then by my 14th year, I had my associate's degree, and I haven't gone back since. So, whatever. But some people don't have the opportunity. A lot of people don't have the desire. I know I didn't have the desire for the longest time to go to school. Part of that was because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grow up, and I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and I'm 38 now. So, but those changes are scary. I was talking to my amazing girlfriend the other day. We're looking at moving to the Phoenix area about a year from now, and she's lived in Southern California her entire life, for the most part pretty much in the same general vicinity. And I had to remind her, like, hey, I know that this scares you. Like, I understand that. I get that, because at one point moving used to scare me. I've moved so many times now that moving is just moving. I can't wait to move this time and be done with it. One mistake I made in my second marriage was telling my ex, I know what you've been through. I've done this 100 times. And I didn't know what she was going through. I knew the situation that she had been through, but how she handled it was different. So I learned from that. I learned that mistake, or learned how I made that mistake. And I told my girlfriend, now I understand that this scares the heck out of you. I get it. I'm here for you, okay? I may be able to help with some things and emotions and stuff that you're feeling. So please talk with me and let me know. I understand. Like, this is not new to me in this situation, but I understand that it's alien and new to you. But we're here for each other. And she got a little emotional, which is fine. It's good, because I think it removed, well, I know, because she told me, like, it removed some pressure from her, that she understands that I know she's going to struggle with it. Her mom is going to struggle with it. The kiddo is going to struggle with it. Our friends are going to struggle with it. But, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to struggle a little bit with it as well. Hey, pavement. But, I'm not, it's, for me, it's wash, rinse, repeat. I've done it. It's just I'm moving with a different person this time, and to a different city that I haven't ever lived in, but I visited. But I have a decent friend basis there, and we're going to go meet some of those people, and that'll help her and the kiddo as well. So in the end, the change is scary at first for them and for veterans getting out, but in the end, it's a million times better as long as you in our case, like with the moves, sticking together, or in the veterans case, if you're married, sticking together. If you're not married, then forming a plan, doing your research, and making, obviously most people getting out of the military chose to get out, most, not all, and so it's one of those times for you to realize, I made this choice, make the best of it and do what you got to do. So that's it. That's all I got. This road is not much better than that gravel road, really. So, but man, it's beautiful out here. So make the best of change, folks. It's not a bad thing, okay? Especially unexpected change. Like, that was cool. If we had never gone through that gravel road, if I had decided to turn around and find a different route, which is fully possible, then I would have never seen, and you guys wouldn't have seen that maple field, where maple farm, syrup farm. I don't know, what do they call that? I guess it'd be a syrup farm. So, but you know, syrup grove. But it was, you know, it was cool. That was cool to see, you know, and we're still seeing some cool stuff today. And
battery level is low.
It's one of those things. Don't fear change. All right. Remember, you are loved. You have purpose. You have value. Have a great day. So tempting, so very tempting just to go around them, because this instructor teaching this student hasn't taught them that this
in a quarter mile, merge onto US 131 South.
This is where you're supposed to get up to speed to properly merge. Yeah, this student driver gonna fail. 1, 2, 3, go. Peace out.